If you've ever heard a song that kind of came out of nowhere at a perfect time in your life, this video will make sense to you. The song I'm talking about is Born Free by Kid Rock. Now, I've heard this song many times over the last few years, never really thought about it. But now that retirement is more than just a date on the calendar, it really stirred up some emotions for me. And with that, I started thinking, retirement to me isn't just about stoppage or the end of something. I think it's about a beginning. It's more than just having free days that you don't have to get up and shut the alarm clock off and be somewhere. I think it really comes down to opportunities. Now, with that being said, we all kind of fell into it. We were in a rush to grow up. As kids, we were always thinking about, what are we going to do for a job? And we rush into it, get educated, get into that job and fight for promotions and rise as hard as we can. Then from there, get married, have kids, and keep up with the Joneses, as we discussed earlier. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel through all the years, many of us live our lives by the title that we gain from our work. And it kind of makes sense because the workplace is where we actually spend most of our time. Most of our time is spent with colleagues, not really loved ones. And those colleagues, friends, acquaintances, kind of have a big influence on us. And that title about, becoming a leader or a manager, an officer, a chief, whatever line of work you were in, really meant something to you. In my job, being a first responder, being a paramedic firefighter, I'd go to parties, events, and people always knew me as the first responder. They didn't ask me the questions, oh, what was the worst thing you've ever seen? Or, that kind of stuff, or medical questions. And I was always known as the first responder. And at no fault of my own, I actually started living my life more as a paramedic. And that was who I became. That was what I was known for. And I was living more my entire life, even at home, with that title of firefighter paramedic. And I kind of got accustomed to that. Now that I'm coming up to retirement, I kind of realize, I think I forgot who I was, my true character, that father, brother, son, neighbor. I forgot that part of me. And no excuses. I think many of us fall in that trap. Again, that's where we spend most of our lives. But I think going into retirement, I have an opportunity to do something different. Regain that person who I was before the title. And I think many of us will have a hard time giving up that title. And I might be one of them. But deep down, I think it won't be hard. Because I've been slowly thinking about retiring for quite a while. And the title is becoming less and less important to me. And being the true character I was 30 years ago. See, I've explored things that I've liked to do in my 20s and my 30s. As I mentioned maybe before, I even enrolled in some acting that I used to do. And it brings me a lot of joy to do that. I still weight lift, trying to get in shape. So I'm kind of going backwards, and I put retirement, kind of that date on the calendar, as a reason why I started thinking this way. And even my kids, yeah, they know me as dad, but they know me as a firefighter paramedic. And really, I don't know if that's a success or not. Hey, I don't regret anything, and I don't think many of us do. We don't regret what we did for work. Some people might, but most of us had a good go. We enjoyed it. There were some days I didn't even want to leave work. And that's mostly because of the people that were there and the people that I helped over the years. But now, the opportunity is different. You know, a lot of people ask me, oh, are you excited about retirement? Yeah, I'm pretty excited, but I do have a lot of unknowns. And that's the biggest reason I started this channel, because everything isn't known. And I'm really hoping we can grow the community that, offers suggestions to so many of us and create discussions on how are they going into retirement, or folks that have retired reach out and say what was helpful to yourselves. I'm not saying I know everything. I don't. And that's, again, why I'm open to any suggestions or any comments that come along from the videos that I do. One quote from the song kind of really hit home. Chasing dreams and racing father time. You know, I think I did the second part of that a lot. I was racing father time. I wanted that career, I wanted the bonuses, I wanted that income, I wanted the big house, I wanted the homes. I wanted it all in a short period of time because that's what we were taught to do. And I think retirement is going to bring more importance on the chasing dreams. And I think that brings just a big feeling of going into this, that I have so many things to achieve still. Not even achieve, just try. And I think, that means, maybe it means living abroad. Maybe it means doing something I really loved doing when I was younger. And just being that person and not title, I think it will mean so much moving forward. And again, I don't want people to think I'm knocking that you need to forget about all the history that you had from your workplace. Not at all. You're going to take those experiences with you. Either way you look at it, that is part of you. I think it's just the title that we need to give up. And I always kind of say this, you got the bumper sticker, put it on your car and drive forward. So I guess in a nutshell, I'm just saying, you got to let it go. Just let it go. The title can be left behind and become the person that, or, the dreamer, the inventor, the neighbor, the father. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank everyone for the great response I had with my last video. And also notice that about 80% of the people that viewed the video were non-subscribers. So if I could ask everyone just to take a moment of their time to hit the subscribe and like and share button, that'd really help the channel grow. Because I would really like to continue with the community growth of this channel and hear where everybody's going or where they've been. Another line from the song that I really liked is grateful for my time with no regrets. And I can honestly say that I think many of us can, that yeah, we're grateful for the time that we had at work with no regrets. Many of us provided a roof over our families and a great, childhood for our kids. And yeah, gave us the opportunity to keep up with the Joneses for a little while, even though we shouldn't have. Anyhow, again, I'm going to leave you with a quote from a movie that many of us Gen Xers will know. Life moves pretty fast. And if you don't stop and take a look around once in a while, you could miss it. And I think retirement is really stop and take a look around. Thanks, guys.